Winters. In tonight's video, we're going to be making a Season's Greeting Layered Designer Series paper card using the Decorative Trees Photopolymer stamp sets and the Nest of Winters Designer Series paper. I got this idea from Connie Steward of the Simply Simple Stamping when I was looking for a sympathy card. And I thought, oh, I could make this a holiday card. Hi, I'm Joan Heberlein, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I created this video for Joan Simple Papercrafts found right here on YouTube. If you're new here, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you're a returning guest, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below. That way you won't miss when I post a video, which is typically once a week. Now give me a few seconds to turn the camera down and we'll get started. Here's that card we're going to be making tonight. And the paper we're using is the Nest of Winter, and I'm really glad they brought this back. It was in the last mini catalog right before the holidays in 2024, and I wasn't able to buy it before they closed out that catalog. So I was really glad when they brought it back and put it into our online exclusives. This is one of the sheets, and that's the other side. Here's another one. And this is what we're going to be using for our card. And we could use these birds, but I did find one on here that we're going to be using from that first sheet. I think we're using this one here. Then we're going to use the Season's Greetings from the Decorative Dies Photopolymer stamp set. And I don't put anything inside the card. You could always put another sentiment in there. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this up here to give me some idea how to do it. I got this idea from Connie Steward in her Layered Design Series paper video dated May 16th of 2024. And she's from Simply Simple Stamping. What we're going to do first is we're going to cut some of our designer series paper, and we need it cut at 3 7/8 inches by 6 inches. So I just need to have 3 7/8 here first. 3 7/8. Looks like our birds are going to be chopped off, so I'm just going to shift it just a little bit to get that one bird on there. There we go. And then we'll turn it over and we'll cut it off to make it to the right size. 3 7/8 right there. And 3 7/8 would be 9.8 centimeters. And then the next we need to do is cut this at 1 inch. And 1 inch would be 2.5 centimeters. Then we want to cut it at 3 1/4 inches. And 3 1/4 inches is 8.5 centimeters. Then we got 1 inch again. And that's 2.5 centimeters. And then we have 3/4 of an inch. And 3/4 of an inch is 1.9 centimeters. Okay, so that's our designer series paper. And I'm going to put this away because I'm going to use it for another card later. Next we want our CHERRY COBBLER CARDSTOCK, and we want to cut this at 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches. And so let's get it in here at 5 1/2, and 5 1/2 would be 14 centimeters by 21.6 centimeters. Then we're just going to score it at 4 1/4, and this is our scoring blade right here. That's the lighter tan blade on here. And then this is the trimming blade. I have an extra blade on here. What I did is when this got dull, I put it here and I wrote glitter on it. So when I'm doing glitter or foil paper, I use that. So I'm not dulling this blade. And then we also have an extension on here, which goes out as far as 17.5 inches or almost 44 centimeters. And then these blades are put right in this track here, so I don't have to take them out when I'm going to use the trimmer blade or the scoring blade. I just move this out of the way. So I'm going to move that all the way down. I want to make sure I got it at 4 1/4 inches, and that would be 10.8 centimeters. And we're going to use this blade, the scoring blade. Just go back a couple times. Then we're going to fold and burnish this. Let me just get this out of the way for right now. For Cherry Cobbler, the next piece we need is our 2 inches. This looks like it's about 5 inches, but we only need about a 2 inch by 2 inch square. And I'm just going to put that in there, and we just want to make sure we've got it centered. And you push halfway down, and then you can finish it. All right, that is going to go on the front of the card. The next piece we need is our gray granite, and that is going to be our border around the inside of the sentiment, or the inside of the card. And we need that to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I think I already have this at 5 1/4. Yes, this is 5 1/4 inches here, so we need to score it at 4 inches. Sorry, we're cutting it at 4 inches. So we've got 4 inches by 5 1/4, or I don't have that on here. So let me see if I can figure it out. 4 inches is 10.2 centimeters by 5 1/4 is 13.4 centimeters. It looks like 3 or 4. I can't actually make that out. 13.123 centimeters. Okay, that's going to be on the inside of the card. And then we're going to go to our basic white. In our basic white, we need a piece cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inches. And I think I already have this cut at 5 1/8. Yes, so 5 1/8 would be 13 centimeters. 13 centimeters, and then 3.3 7/8 inches would be 9.8 centimeters. 3 7/8. This is going to be for the inside of the card as well. That goes there. Then we've got this piece left, and we just cut that part off. So we're going to turn it again and cut it at 4 inches. 4 inches would be 10.2 centimeters. And then we're going to take this and cut it at 1 1/8 inches. And that's going to be 2.9 centimeters. Then we need a piece cut at 3 3/8. So this is 3 3/8 inches by 4 inches, so 8.6 centimeters by 10.2 centimeters. And then we need to cut one more at 1 1/8 inches. And this is 1 1/8 inches, so we just need to cut it down to 4 inches. There. Okay, I think we're done with this trimming blade, so I'm going to put that away. Then we basically need to bring in our mat. I'm going to use this to stamp our banner. And we're going to use a Versamark and do this. Okay. And then I'm going to just clean this right away, because that's the only stamping we're doing right now. So we've got our Stampin' Scrub. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And we're going to spray our Stampin' Mist. There. And we'll bring this back in. And we're going to use this. This is our white embossing powder. We'll get that on there. And I'm going to bring in my little tweezers. So this came with the embossing tools. So this came with it. Let me get the other one. This came with it, the paintbrush, and our little buddy here, embossing buddy, but I forgot to use this. That keeps the static electricity off from the card, so then you won't have as many white flecks on there. So I'm going to go use this brush and finish wiping off the rest of this card. Let me see if I can get that off from there first. Yeah, that worked a lot better that way. So had I used that embossing buddy, there would hardly be anything here. I know it's difficult to see it, but I can see the little flecks there. And I do have a tiny brush here. I'm going to grab that real quick just to get it off from here. That looks good. I'm going to close this up. Oh, I got one more here. I'm going to close this up because I don't want that to be blown all over the place and then have it harden up on us. Then we'll bring in our heat gun, and I'm going to turn it on high, and if it's too noisy, I will turn the volume down on it. See, it's starting to get shiny. That means that part is done. Just moving it back and forth because I don't want to get it too hot in one spot, because it can scorch the paper. The bottom of the S still needs to be done. Alright, I think we are done. That's what it looks like. And we'll set that aside to finish cooling off. And we can clean this up here. So let's go ahead and bring in our paper. So we've got our basic white, and these two sides, we'll do those first. And we'll use this kind of glue. It is our Tombow mono liquid glue for multi-purpose, but I have it in this bottle here inside this glue gun because I have trouble squeezing this, and I can't squeeze it because of my arthritis. So I've got it in this glue gun instead, and we're going to go ahead and just start working with it. We'll just tip this over, and I like to get it on here this way. I'm going to move this out of the way because I'm going to knock it off otherwise. And right now it doesn't matter which direction I put it. We want to leave 1/8 of an inch around the edge for a border on all four sides. And we'll do that to the next one as well. And 1/8 of an inch for a border. And I'm just going to take my bone folder and just kind of get that flattened. And this one had a little bit of a curl on the edge, so I'm just going to use a bone folder to flatten that too. Then we have this one right here. That's going to be that big one. And we'll put that right here, leaving 1/8 of an inch for a border on all four sides. And I'm just going to take your pick tool, just go around the edge here. There's a little bit of fuzzy on that paper right there. Right up there it was. Don't think it's attached, but it was still there. Yeah, these are good. And then let's bring in our card base. So this one we need to fold and burnish it, and we've got it scored at 4 1/4 inches. And that was, I can't remember, it was 10.8 centimeters. And I like to burnish this on both sides to give a nice crisp edge. Then we're going to put these on here, and that was on this side first, and then this one goes on this side. So let's go ahead and get that on there. And oop, I didn't do this quite right, so let me see if I can't get this folded properly. And that looks better. So let's go ahead and put this on here. I like using the glue, the white glue, because it gives you some wiggle room. And we want to leave 1/8 of an inch for a border on the top, the left and bottom side. That's going to be 0.3 centimeters. We'll do the same thing on this side. Sorry if my head was getting in the way. I'll try not to get it in the way this time. Okay. I'm just going to rub that down. Get that off from there. Then, you could glue it down right now like this, but I like to raise it up to give it some dimension. So we're going to use some dimensionals on here. And these are the large ones. And I'm just going to put it in all the corners and in the center as well. So I like to use a lot of dimensionals because I don't want it to get wonky when it goes through the roller at the post office. So if I was going to hand deliver this one, that would be it. I would use just those 4. But because it's going through the mail, here I go with all these other ones. I like using my Take Your Pick tool. It's a lot easier to get the paper backings off with this. And I found another use for this tool. I have one of those dividers for all my ink pads, and I put this in this way, and so it was too deep and it got pushed all the way back and I couldn't reach it. So I took this end off right here, and it fit right through the hole, and I grabbed it and then I pushed it out. I don't think that one's documented anywhere. Okay, so we'll take our Take Your Pick tool and pull these paper backings off. This allows me to get them wrangled onto this Take Your Pick tool, and then they don't get scattered all over my living room. So I'm going to line it up at the bottom, make sure that that is lined up there, and making sure that I've got the same amount of space on each side there. It's basically about 1/8 of an inch, so about 0.3 centimeters, and then just line it up at the top and it's going to just fall right into place. So that looked great. Let's do the inside of the card. So we had our gray granite, and we've got our basic white, and we should have this piece here. So I'm going to glue this one down onto the basic white. And I want to leave about 1/4 of an inch from the edge there. You can decide how much space you want to leave from the edge, but that's what I did. And then we're going to put that onto this gray granite, and we'll leave 1/16 of an inch for a border on all 4 sides. So that'll be about 0.1 centimeters. And then we're going to center it on the inside of the card, and that'll be 1/8 of an inch for a border on all 4 sides. Now I don't go around measuring 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch or whatever. I just eyeball it to make it centered. I do the right to the left, and then the top and the bottom. And we'll just use our bone folder to get out any glue bubbles. And there's a little bit of glue right here on this base here. I'm going to take the adhesive eraser and get rid of that. And it looks like there's some right here too. Alright, so what we need to do next is some fussy cuttings. So this is what I had cut out of our designer series paper. I just did a rough cut on that, and so we want to cut it 1/16 of an inch. And I started cutting it and realized that this was the one I wanted to do the demo with, so then I stopped right about here. I'm going to do fast forward for you guys. And when you're fussy cutting, you want to turn the paper and not the scissors. So all we need to do is put some dimensionals on the back of that. I'm going to take this one and cut it in half. I can put it on this, looks like a stem right here, but I think it's the tail of the bird. And we'll put one more right here. Put one there too. See, I use a lot of dimensionals, don't I? Then we just take our Take Your Pick tool and remove all those backings. And actually, I'm going to take it and put it on here because when we did some of these other ones, we didn't need to use all those dimensionals. We could have put it on the stem itself. So I think we'll put this down here. So I'm going to take the dimensionals off from this piece right through here. There, I think we got them all. Okay, we're going to put this on here. And we want to have it right about there. We need to do a second dimensional there. So we've got this one right here. We'll cut that off. And I think I can cut it in half again. And get that on the back of this. There. The reason I did that is because you see we put dimensionals down here, and then there's dimensionals here, so it's 2 dimensionals deep, so that's why I stacked them there. We'll do the same thing here. So I want to put dimensionals. I think I need to take this one off here. Don't want it to stick to my finger. Come on. So if we've got it right here, that'll go down there. And I'm going to take this one off from here too. Alright, let me see how that works now. Okay, so we're going to put dimensionals here, and then we can put glue on the other side here. So we're going to put 2 dimensionals on here. One right here, and one right here. And then we'll put some glue on there. Then we need to put those dimensionals back on the back side of that again. Let's do one of these. We'll cut that one in half. I'm going to take this paper off the back right away. And I can put that in there. And I'm going to do one more. I think we got one right here. Right there. There. So it says Season's Greetings. I think we are done. Let me bring in some other cards that we did. Remember I said I got this idea from Connie Steward, and I had done a sympathy card, and that's when I got to thinking how well this looked like a Christmas card. I put some Winkastella on there. So there's one. Here's another one with a red background. This one has brown. And I have one with Coastal Cabana. So I didn't put any sentiment on the inside, but if you chose to do that, you could use the Coastal Cabana for this. You could use the Cherry Cobbler for this one. And you could use the Fresh Freesia for this one. And then the Early Espresso for this one. I hope you liked this project as much as I did. As you can see, it works great with just about any sentiment stamp set. And you can also use a variety of designer series paper. Now why don't you give it a try? If you liked today's video, would you do me 2 favors? Click the thumbs up emoji, which means you like it, and would you share it on social media with your crafting friends and pin it to Pinterest? These actions will help me to keep sharing my ideas with other crafters for free, and I'd really appreciate that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below so you won't miss any future videos. If you have any questions, be sure to contact me. I'm here to help in any way that I can. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Just reach out to me. If you'd like to place a Stampin' Up! Order or like a catalog, hop over to my website where you'll find the Shop Now button. To shop with me, you'll need to go to joanheberlein.stampinup.net. Mark your calendars. I'll be back next Sunday, November 23rd at 7 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be doing something from the annual catalog. I hope you'll be here to join me. Thanks so much for being here with me tonight. I look forward to next time. Bye for now, and don't forget to subscribe.